Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Banking 101 class presented by the Legacy Program at Abiding Word Family Ministries. My name is Sybil Jackson, and I am the Assistant Program Director for the Legacy Program. And you are in for a treat today. We have two dynamic speakers who have a combination of 39 years in the banking industry. And we're going to learn some banking tips today and some information. And I know many of you may say, I've been banking for a while, but there's still a lot of things out there that we could learn when it comes to making our monies and keeping our monies. And these ladies are going to give us some great tips today. So please get ready to take notes, get ready to ask questions. We would like this to be a very interactive class today, so we're asking for your participation. We also are going to have giveaways at the end of the class, so you have to stay for the end for the giveaways. So again, we're expecting a very interactive class, and we want you to participate, and we want you to learn, because there's always something that we can learn. So I'm going to introduce our two speakers. We have our Sister Yvonne Middleton, and we have Sister Theresa McDuffie. And I'm going to introduce both of our speakers. Sister Yvonne Middleton will be up first, but I will give you the biographies of both of our speakers. Sister Yvonne Middleton has been in the banking industry for 24 years. She has assisted customers in various financial areas, such as account opening, account maintenance, and resolving customer concerns. Yvonne enjoys encouraging people and helping them reach their financial goals. Her banking is sought after by those who patron her branch. Yvonne is also the founder and creator of Naturals by Nezzy Made with Love, LLC. She is a dedicated business owner who makes superior hair and skin care products by hand that are sold online at naturalsbynezzy.com. She is also our ambassador and a financial secretary of the Legacy Program. So welcome, Miss Yvonne Middleton. Our next speaker is Miss Theresa McDuffie. Theresa has 15 years in the banking industry at a well-known local credit union. She worked as a team lead in the customer service and back office departments. During this time, she handled escalated calls, researched account and online banking issues. She managed mail processing for all branches and departments, and she assisted in handling of unclaimed funds and resolved deceased accounts. Theresa has a passion for building knowledge on various financial matters and inspiring. She created several journals, such as the Estate Planning Journal and Faith Journal, which are now available on Amazon. Theresa also has a master's degree in business administration with a concentration in leadership. She is also our own program director for the Legacy Program. Please welcome Ms. Theresa McDuffie.
Thank you.
So our first speaker up is going to be Miss Yvonne Middleton. So again, please have your notebooks, have your papers, have your pencils and pens, and let's take notes, because the questions that you will receive for the giveaway will come from the information that is being presented.
Good morning, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Listen, we have some amazing information for you, so just take notes, things you never think about. However, we're going to share those with you today. Bank account basics. Okay, so before you open an account, before you even consider opening an account, one of the things you definitely want to do is review the bank's website. You can do that. You want to check on the rates and the fees. One thing about it, you don't want to get an account and then you're getting charged fees and you're trying to figure out why. So know ahead of time what those fees that you will incur. Again, know about those fees. That's important. Review the products and services offered. Now, they may have several different checking accounts that they offer now, or savings accounts. You have to choose which one will better suit the need that you have. And sometimes you can look at all those things and still have questions. So if you have any questions, always feel free to call your financial institution to ask questions. It's nothing wrong with asking questions before. Be proactive when it comes to opening any kind of bank accounts, because I will tell you this, in some cases, if you open an account and then you decide a week or two later, oh, I don't want this, I need that. For the most part, you're going to get charged a fee for an early closing account. Closing that account early, for the most part, you'll probably get charged a fee. So save yourself that and make sure when you're opening that account, you are opening exactly what is going to suit your need at that time. Again, call the bank if you have any other questions. After you open the account, be sure to review the agreement. Any account that you open, it comes with an agreement. It's not just you open an account, okay, you don't know what it's all about. When you get that agreement, you can read it and it'll give you all of the specifics of that account. Because I know sometimes we tend to, only thing we want to know is how much money we have. But we need to know more. We need to know more about the actual account, and you're going to find that out by actually reading the agreement. Review your bank statements. This is so important. And now we've gotten to the point where, for whatever reason, we do not look at our bank statements. And if there's an error, guess what? You only have, at most institutions, 60 days to dispute it. So if you're not opening your mail or you're not reviewing your account online and there is an issue with it, guess what? If it has passed 60 days, you cannot dispute that because you have let the time lapse. So whatever you do, be sure to open those bank statements, or if you do online banking, review your account on a regular basis. So if it's anything that is not right, you can dispute it at that time, because guess what? Mistakes do happen, and the earlier you catch it, the better it is to dispute it. And messages, when you get your email, your statements, rather it's email or in the mail, if there's any kind of inserts with any change that's coming down, anything like that, you never know if you're not reading your mail or going online to review what exactly is going on. Because if you just take, for instance, there's just an upgrade coming up and you don't know that there's an upgrade, and then when you go to take care of your business, well, such and such is not working. Well, you would have known, had you opened that mail or reviewed that website, you would have known, okay, well, during this time, I'm not going to have access to online banking. So it's very important to always stay in the know once you've opened your account. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, so this is a good one. Who's on your bank account? And let me get into this with just a little bit more depth. Who is on your account? Who do you want on your account, and why would you want them on your account? If you have a joint account, you and your mom, you and your sister, you and your husband, okay, that's fine. You have two people on your account that can do business all as well. If you only have you on your account and you don't have anybody else on the account, guess what? And something happens to you, guess what happens? It goes into probate. If it's just you you don't have a beneficiary on there, guess what happens? It goes into, you have to go through probate with an estate. And Teresa will cover that in more detail later on in the call. So always be mindful, even if you don't want somebody to be on your banking account as an owner, always consider having a payable on death. Somebody that if something, but once you pass away, they can go to that bank with that death certificate saying, hey, you know, so-and-so passed away. You show your ID, they give you the funds, and you go down, you're done. However, if you don't have anybody on there, it just complicates things so far as it has to go through probate. So always be mindful when you're opening your account to have someone on there. And to get to that a little bit further, just say you have your account and you don't want the person to be an owner, but you want them to have access to it. Then they will become an authorized signer. The difference between an authorized signer and a joint owner is the joint owner is 50-50, you're both owners on the account. An authorized signer, if it's my account and I want to have my daughter as an authorized signer, I can put her down as an authorized signer. And if I choose to take her off at a later date, I can do that. When it's a joint account, when it's 50-50, we can't go in and just take either or off because it's a joint account. However, when it's authorized signer, you can go at any point and say, you know what, I don't need this person to be authorized anymore, and you can take them off of the account. And the benefit of having a joint owner is, authorized signer rather, is if they're an authorized signer, you can also put them on as a beneficiary as well. And that way you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. You are able to have them on while you're alive as an authorized signer. God forbid something happened to you, they'll still be able to get the money as a beneficiary. So that is one of the most important things that everyone should know is when you open an account, please be mindful that at some point in time, we're all going to leave this world. And if you have those things in order, it just makes things a little bit easier when you have expired on this side of earth. Your things are in order, put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Yvonne. Before Ms. Teresa gets on, does anybody have any questions? If you do, please just put it in the chat and I will read it out and one of the ladies will respond. If you do have any questions, again, remember chat and we'll get your questions read so that we can get your questions answered. Great information.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time to stay with us. As Sybil said, stay to the end because we have some great giveaways at the end, and make sure you take your notes. So for this first question, I wanted to just see what everyone's thinking when it comes to this. So the question is, should it matter to you who's on your account after you pass away? And I want you to go ahead and put your answer, yes or no, in the chat. And I want to just see what everyone is thinking when it comes to this. So I see we got a few yeses in here.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like everyone's saying yes so far. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So really, with this question, basically, if you have loved ones, if you have someone that you care about that you want them to be taken care of when you're no longer with us, you definitely should care about, who's on your account after you pass away. So this slide is basically going over estate planning, and this is estate planning pertaining to your bank account. There are all types of things that people definitely need to do when it comes to planning, their estate. But this one is basically concerned with your bank account. So what happens to your account when you're no longer here? And basically, there's a few things that would happen that is dependent on how your account is set up. So the reason why we went over you considering who's on your bank account at the beginning is because that is so very important when it comes to handling your bank account. It can even be a situation where you're incapacitated for some whatever reason and you're not able to pay your bills. What's going to happen to your account and how can your bills be paid? All of that is going to be determined on how your account is set up. Who's on your account? Are they a joint owner? Are they just a POD person where it's just payable on death? All of that matters. And that's why it's very important for you to just sit and think about who you want on your account, if you want someone on your account, and what type of abilities will you allow that person to have on your account. So what documents do you basically need? And this is concerning, like, if you were no longer with us, what type of documents you would need in that aspect. So Ms. Yvonne kind of brought up, she touched on this a little bit about the types of documents that you would need. Basically, there is something that is called rights of survivorship. And this is a legal term that in the banking world, there are a lot of companies that basically use this. It's used in mortgages as well. But in the banking realm of it, rights of survivorship means that if there is a joint owner on the account, that joint owner would be entitled to the funds in the account. So that means that if a personal representative or a payable on death person tried to come and get the money out of the account, if the account is rights of survivorship, they would not be able to do that. So this is another reason why it is extremely important for you to determine who needs to be on your account if you want someone on your account. Now, if you don't have someone on your bank account, then as Yvonne stated, that those funds would go to your estate. That means you would have to go through probate. And with probate and going through that process, there's certain documents that have to be signed and that has to be completed to resolve that person's estate. Now, if that person's estate is below a certain amount, there is something called a small estate affidavit that probate court would give you. And I believe it's around 25,000 or less. If that person, assets total 25,000 or less, it may be a different amount, but it's around that amount. They would just give them this one document and it would determine who would get the money in the account. But if their estate is more than that, then you're going to get a lot of documents from probate that you're going to have to resolve and go through. And I can tell you, it is a task. It's almost like having a job to deal with that. I am actually going through resolving my mother's estate right now. I've assisted her with resolving my father's estate. And so now Since my mom recently passed away, I'm in the process of resolving her account. And I can tell you, probate court gives you a lot of documents, and there's a lot of things that you have to go through, that you have to make sure are done.
Want you on my money.
You have to, call and resolve, all of their assets. It's just a lot of work. I said all of that to show everyone that if you have your account set up in a certain manner where you don't have to go through that process, then it really helps your family members on the back end when you're no longer here and resolving and getting that money that you have in the account. So it really is based on how you have the account set up. I want to mention that a power of attorney, if you have a power of attorney for someone, some people may not know about this, but a power of attorney is null and void once the person passes away. So you cannot use a power of attorney anymore once that person is gone. So you cannot call the bank and say, well, I have a power of attorney. I need to, get some money out of this account. You can't do that because once the person is gone, the power of attorney is null and void. So what happens to the money on the account? Again, that is based on how the account is set up. If you want your family members to get the money and have access to the money in the account, then you need to make that person a joint owner. And I want to just point out and say that some of the terms that we're using when it comes to whether they're a joint owner, authorized signer, payable on death, they may be, not all financial institutions, have those types of wordings. Some may not have an authorized signer. Some may just have joint owners and payable on deaths and other types of, people on the account. But what you would need to do is call your financial institution or look on their website or look in the account agreement booklet to determine what types of people or signers that you can add to the account. So, but to make it easier on your family members, I would definitely add a joint owner or a payable on death, whatever you want to do, and make sure you tell that person that they're on the account. Well, I've encountered situations where the person doesn't know that they're payable on death, that there's an account that they're on. And so they don't know that there's money sitting there waiting for them that's entitled to them, but they don't know about the account because they weren't told that they were on the account. So make sure you tell that person, hey, you're on the account, you're in the capacity of a joint owner, so you would be able to do whatever it is you needed to do with the account. Typically, if they're just a payable on death, that means that they're not going to be able to do any transactions with the account. They would only get the money once you pass away.
You're right.
And to also add to that, make sure that your information is up to date. Your address, your phone numbers, your email addresses. If you're entitled money, you would want the bank to have your most up-to-date information so they can reach out to you and say, hey, so-and-so passed away. They left you as payable on death. We want to give you $20,000 because they had this money in this account set up for you. So don't change your address, change your phone number, change your email address, and do not notify the bank. Because in situations like this, it's highly important that the bank has the most up-to-date information so they can tell you what's going on with the account.
Right.
All right, looks like I'm going to.
Mr. Reese, we have two questions.
We got a couple questions here.
Yeah.
Are there any restrictions to the POD? And so I think I did answer that. PODs only payable on death. They only get the money once you pass away. They cannot do anything else. They cannot call and say, hey, I want to make a withdrawal, and you're still alive. They can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing they can do, the only thing is that they're entitled to the money once you pass away. But you want to be careful with that, because if the account is rights of survivorship, and you would want to either look in your account agreement booklet or call your financial institution to find out whether your account is rights of survivorship, that would mean that the joint owner would get that money. And so the POD would not get it. If there's a joint owner and a POD, the joint owner would be entitled to that money if the account is rights of survivorship. But you definitely want to call your financial institution to find out if your account is rights of survivorship, because that is extremely important if you're leaving loved ones behind and you want them to get the money. All right, so was there another question?
Yes. So there was one that says, well, a follow-up to that is, are there any age restrictions on the POD?
So typically they're not, and you would definitely want to contact your financial institution to confirm that, because it may be different, you know, from each financial institution to the next. But I can tell you that I've experienced situations on the job where the POD was a minor. And you know they can't give money to a minor.
Right.
The money has to go to whoever, you know, is that person's guardian. So it's a little challenging to deal with when you do add a person on the account as a POD and they're a minor. There are extra steps that have to be done because the minor cannot, we can't just give the money to the minor. It has to go to an adult guardian. And then that person would have to prove that they're the guardian. So, you know, you definitely want to kind of be mindful of that.
Can we mute?
Any other questions?
There is one more. I'm sorry, somebody wanted to know, what was the difference between and or on the account?
Okay, so the difference with and or, you may want to actually contact your financial institution, confirm that. Because I know typically on titles, when there's a title for a vehicle, that makes a difference. But I'm not sure about how that would work for an account, because you're actually either the primary account holder or a joint owner. Like, you actually have these titles. So using your bank account, basically, you want to know what types of transactions and services that are causing fees. This is the time of year where you definitely want to monitor your account. I mean, you need to do that, you know, in any time of the year. But if you know, Christmas is coming up, we're making, we're making purchases online, we're going in stores, we're going out to dinner. You want to make sure that whatever is coming out of your account and going into your account, it's supposed to be. You don't want to be in a position, or you don't want to be where you go out to dinner, you leave a $5 tip, and for whatever reason, they charge you $10. But you don't realize it and you don't know it because you haven't looked at your account. And so this is why you want to make sure that you're monitoring your accounts. And then you want to make sure that you look at the rate and fee schedule to determine what causes a fee, because you want to avoid that. You don't want to be put in a position where you're getting a fee. So whatever it is that you need to do in order to avoid the fees, you need to go ahead and do that. You need to monitor your debits and your deposit posting. If it looks like you don't have enough money in your checking account to cover the transactions that are being made, make the transfer from your savings account yourself, or make a deposit into the account. You do not want to wait for the bank to do that transfer, because some of financial institutions charge you a fee. So you want to monitor the debits and the deposits. You want to set up notifications to be alerted about, your debit amounts and your balances. This is one thing that can actually help you to avoid getting fees. You also want to utilize any kind of overdraft protection for your checking account. Most financial institutions, you can have your savings account as an overdraft source. But you just have to know with that, there are withdrawal limits. There is something that's called Regulation D, where you can only get 6 electronic withdrawals from your savings account per month. Electronic would be maybe if you did some type of electronic transfer from one financial institution to another. Not electronic would be considered if you went into the financial center and made a withdrawal, or if you went to the ATM and made the withdrawal yourself. So you have to be careful when you're pulling money out of your savings account. And this is why, if you know that you're making a lot of transactions and you look at your checking account and you see that you don't have, enough money to cover it, don't just transfer what it is for that one, purchase that you're going to make. Transfer, enough to cover, more than that, because you have this limitation with your savings account. So you don't want to get to the point where you're not going to be able to, electronically pull money from your savings account. At that point, you would have to go in the financial center. So be mindful of that as well. You can have a line of credit set up as an overdraft source. Some institutions will also allow you to have a credit card as an overdraft source. These are things that are going to help you avoid fees. And you definitely, want to be proactive and vigilant in this, because we don't want to give the bank more of our money. We don't want them to get our money in that manner. We don't want that. So you want to do everything that you can in order to avoid the fees. I also want to point out that with checks, anyone still uses checks? Put in the chat and let me know if you still write checks. So in my personal opinion, I don't think checks will be, around too much longer. It's still out there, but I don't think it's going to be around too much longer. Checks are processing and they're clearing your account faster. When you go to Walmart and you write a check, they run it through and they give you the check back. If you look on the back of some of your bill statements, they tell you that if you write them a check to pay your bill, it's going to be processed electronically, if that is something that they do. It clears faster when it's processed electronically. So keep that in mind. And also, you can't call the bank and get a copy of that. There's no copy of an electronic transaction. So I know sometimes you write a check, it'll have a check number, and you think that you'll be able to get a copy of it. If it's processed electronically, you won't be able to get a copy of that. So you definitely want to make sure that you write down somewhere that you made that transaction, so that you can, keep it in mind, what you did. But if you look at some of your bills, like your electric bill or, whatever bills you have, on the back of it, when it talks about how to make payments, it will tell you how they process check payments. All right, I'm going to pause here for any questions before I finish the slide.
I do have a question in the chat.
Yes.
And the question is it better to bank with a credit union or a regular bank?
So I knew this question would come up, and I was thinking about that. Most people say that banking with the credit union is better, and here's the reason why. Credit unions are member owned. They're not for profit. So whatever profits they get, they allow that to carry on to their members. But a bank has like a board of directors. They're not member owned. They're, for themselves. And so those are the two differences with a credit union and a bank. So I'll let y'all make the decision on which one y'all think y'all would want to have, whether it's a credit union or a bank. I actually have both, and for different reasons. So you really just have to do what you feel is best for you based on what's being offered at that financial institution.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions?
Are both insured the same?
So the bank is insured by the FDIC, mm-hmm. and the credit unions are insured by the NCUIA. Mm-hmm. And I may have those acronyms. One of those acronyms may have an extra letter, but yes, they're both insured. And I believe right now it's $250,000 per account, mm-hmm. that your funds are insured by yes, but yes, they are insured the same. And if you go on your bank or your credit union's website, down to the very bottom on the first page, it typically tells you about them being insured.
Great.
Good question.
Great.
Anything else?
And I just want to ask, just for clarification, they are insured per account. That means per social security number, correct?
Yes, and typically. So, but if you go on your bank's or your credit union's website, it actually goes into detail about that.
Okay. Because the reason I'm thinking is if somebody if you have an account, if you have like a money market account, and you say, I want to put 250,000 here, and then you have a regular, let's say a business account, and you want to put 250,000 here, how do they look at that? Do they look at that as being, owned by, like, one may be owned by the business, one may be owned personally, and then even just a personal checking account. So that's why I'm asking if they use like the social security numbers for insurance purposes, or what is the limitation for that 250,000? So I'm just planning for my million. I'm planning for my million, so I'm just asking.
Yes, there you go. There you go. Typically, it's per account number. But as I said, they go into some of the websites of these banks and credit unions. They really go into in-depth,
Okay.
in-depth information with that. And some of them, you'll click on a link on the website, and it actually takes you to, the FDIC
Okay.
or the NCUA, and it'll give you in-depth information about how it's insured. So you definitely want to look at that. But yes, both the bank and the credit unions do have those types of insurance, federally insured.
Great.
I would like to add to that, Sybil. So far as what Teresa was saying, pretty much your $1 million, there is a way to have it all of it secured.
Okay.
They can position it in a way where all of it would be insured, but it's just a matter of, you won't lose anything. It's just different ways they would have to maneuver it to make it all work for you.
Right. It just may not be all in one account. They may just
Correct.
have to use that. Okay, understood. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good stuff. Any other questions? All right, so I'm going to finish this last bullet here on this slide. You definitely want to avoid unclaimed property from being sent to the state of South Carolina. What is unclaimed property? So unclaimed property is basically when you do nothing with your account for a certain period of time. Normally, it's a few years. It can be 5 years. It may be 4 years. You really have to check with your financial institution to find out how many years that is. So basically, when there are no certain transactions being done on the account and the money's just sitting there for a certain period of time, and let me interject with this. This is something that a lot of companies have to do. Insurance companies, utility companies, they all have to go through this escheatment process. This is what it's called. And they have to escheat their money, that abandoned property, to the state treasurer's office. So we don't want to get to that point. We do not want to get to a point where the bank is sending our money to the state treasurer. Because what happens when that happens, you're going to have to, some of these situations, you're going to have to jump through some hoops to get your money. You can still claim it, but you may have to fill out some documents and do this and tell them that. So we're going to put a link in the chat to the state treasurer's office, because I want everyone to check, put in your name and see if you've got money in there that they're holding for you. You can put in your name, put in your family members' names, put in your friend's name, whoever's name. Check to see if they are holding money for you that's entitled to you. So to avoid getting to that point, basically with banks and credit unions, you want to make sure that you're doing whatever transaction it is that avoids this account from being considered abandoned. And so if you look in your account agreement booklet, or if you call your financial institution, they will tell you what types of transactions you need to make in order to keep your account active. You want to keep your account active. I can tell you that you would be surprised the amount. It's like thousands and thousands of dollars that is sent to the state treasurer because people, for whatever reason, They don't claim this money. And it can be any reason. It can be you didn't know you were on this account. And so the money just sat there. You didn't claim it because you didn't know. And that's why I'm going back to, the importance of you telling the person, if you're on an account, tell them you're on that account so that they can get the money that they're entitled to. And you want to be careful with that, because you want to be careful about who you're adding on to the account and who you're telling, because you don't want anyone to do anything kind of shady.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure that you're adding people to the account that are responsible people. This is why you got to think about that. You have to think about it and just, make sure that you're putting someone on the account that is going to do the right thing, basically, when it comes to dealing with your money. So get with your bank. I would do that, or look at your information, your account agreement booklet, to make sure that you're doing the transactions necessary to keep the account active. That's what you want to do. Keep it active. Because you do not want to get to a point where your money's going to the state treasurer. And with that, they notify you before they send it to the state. So it goes back to making sure that your address is up to date. Making sure that your basic, contact information is up to date. They could send you a letter and say, hey, we got $5,000 sitting in your account. We're about to send your money, to the state treasurer. Notify us, contact us within a certain time frame, within 30 days or whatever, to claim your money or to make this account active again. So you definitely, want to be mindful of your basic information on the account, because you do not want them to send your money to the state. But what we're going to do is we're going to avoid that from even happening by finding out what transactions keep your account active. If you're already using your account and, it's an account that you do transfers and transactions periodically, then you really don't need to do that, because you're keeping it active by what you're doing. But if you have an account, maybe it's a savings account or something set to the side that you don't use or do anything with, that is the account that may be vulnerable to being sent, to the state, because you want to make sure that has the activity necessary to avoid it from going to the state. And we put the link to the state treasurer in the chat. So click on that, search your name, and find out if you have money out there that is entitled to you.
Okay, and just to piggyback on that, so far as if an account goes dormant, before it ever goes to the state, it's going to go dormant first. And most institutions have where once it goes dormant, they're charging you a fee every month that is dormant. So in some cases, it never even make it to the state, because within the 5 years, the fees would have eaten up the amount of the amount of money that was in there. So that's just another fee that you need to realize is out there at most banks, or financial institutions. If you have an account, whatever your time frame is, you have to do a transaction. And if you don't, for the most part, they're going to send you a letter. If you don't respond after a certain time frame, you're going to start getting hit with those dormant account fees. And after a while, they will truly add up. And something else I wrote down that we didn't touch on so far as fees is at the ATM. When we have a debit card and you want cash, it is best for you to use either your bank's ATM, or a lot of places have where they have sister banks that you can use, without being charged. But there are some places, if you're not in their network, you go to use their ATM, guess what happens? They're charging you to get your own money. So you're getting charged by the bank that you're using, their ATM, and you're getting charged by your bank. And that can be $7 quick that you're just paying just to get your own money. So that was just another thing I want to throw out there so far as fees are involved. That can add up quickly. ATM fees when you're using somebody else's ATM that's not in your network.
Yes, those are all excellent points. Excellent. And that actually goes back to looking at the rate and fee schedule, because a dormant fee should be on the rate and fee schedule. And sometimes they will even have a blurbish of information about what is considered dormant, like how many months of dormancy would account for you being charged that fee. So if you look at your rate and fee schedule, you'd be surprised at the types of fees that are being charged. But we're gonna do, if it's possible, we're gonna do what we can to avoid the fees, because we don't want to give out any more money than what we need to. All right. Any other questions? Okay. I got question number 2. And I wanted to see what everyone is thinking about this one here. How often should you check your bank account transactions? How often should you check your bank account?
A couple of times weekly.
So go ahead and add in the chat how often
Could be a
you
daily.
think you should be checking your bank account transactions. All right, I got one monthly, I got some dailies. Okay. All right. Well, there's really no right or wrong answer to this question, but I can tell you that the daily people are going to be one step ahead, because we're going to get into next here why it is beneficial to check your bank account daily. And I do understand that, some people, they may not be able to check it daily, maybe every other day, or maybe, a couple times a week. But you definitely want to review your transactions on a consistent basis for all of your accounts. And this would include accounts you don't typically use to do a lot of transactions. And the reason why is because you're going to catch a lot of things. You're going to catch things. And like I was saying before, you're going to make sure nobody charged you more than what they were supposed to charge you. You didn't get charged for somebody else's dinner. You didn't get, someone didn't add more of a tip on than what they were supposed to. Like someone didn't double charge you. Someone, the bank didn't, pay someone else's loan using your account. All of these things, you would be able to catch if you checked your account on a consistent basis. So, and it's easier to handle when it's just happened. And like Yvonne was saying, you only have a certain time frame. Once it gets on the statement, you typically just have 60 days from the statement date to dispute transactions. I've seen people that have called outside of that, just to let you know, to try to dispute certain transactions, but it's stated on your statement that you typically have 60 days to dispute transactions. And just to interact, if you do have to dispute something and you call the bank, try to make sure that you're being polite. I understand that, dealing with your money is a very serious thing, and it's something that definitely needs to be handled. You just want to make sure that, when you're talking to the other person, that you try to be, as respectful as you can. If you need to talk to a supervisor or whatever, that's fine. But just try to be, as respectful to the person as you possibly can. Because they're doing their job, they're talking to you, they represent the bank. And I understand these situations can be very unnerving, but you definitely want to try to make sure that you're being polite. And I see that someone has a comment here in the chat. You can put a notification on your account for transactions that will go to you via text or email, and that's exactly right. A lot of financial institutions have numerous ways that you can get notifications. You can get notifications about withdrawals, deposits, if someone logs on to your account, if they use a wrong password, just all kinds of things. So the notifications truly help. And so that is a very good point to mention. You definitely can use the notifications. Use the online banking and the mobile banking. That's basically what I use in order to check my account every day. I check every morning. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at all of the accounts, looking at the transactions to make sure whatever is supposed to come out, it came out. And whatever was supposed to be deposited, it was deposited. You can use biometrics or multi-factor authentication to log in if you're concerned about the security. And just be mindful of how and where you use your bank account, your debit cards. And we really need to do that. It's coming up for the holidays. Make sure that you're making your purchases on a secure website. And if you get any phone calls or any emails that you need to take action on your account, don't click on any links. Don't respond to any emails. Make sure that you just call the bank. Call the bank and then confirm what it is that person told you. But there are so many methods of fraud, you would not believe it, where people are trying to get your money out of the account. They will call the bank and have all of your details. They will have your name, your social security number, your address. They will have everything and act like they're you. And somehow they have these systems where the phone number that they're using, it looks like your phone number. It looks like it's coming from your phone number. So there are people trying to, that actually do this for a living. They commit fraud, they do fraud. They try to get money out of your account for a living.
Exactly right.
They like to do this with accounts that are not active. So accounts that are not active, that's one of their targets. Even the accounts that are active, it really doesn't matter. They have your information and they are calling, acting like they're you. And so this is another reason why it is extremely important for you to check your account as often as you can, because you will catch this. And this will allow you to be proactive when it comes to dealing with your bank account and not reactive. You always want to be proactive when it comes to dealing with your bank account, because if you're in a reactive state,
That'd be too late.
You're going to get charged fees. You're going to have to make a lot of calls to the bank to resolve things. There's going to be maybe confusion about what's going on. So a reactive state when it comes to your money in your bank account is not where you want to be. And all of the information that we've provided to you previously are ways that you can be proactive when it comes to handling your bank account. So just know with everything that you do, because fraud is so prevalent, you still may have fraud, but at least you're going to catch it because you're checking your account every day. You're watching your account like a hawk. You're checking it every other day, and whatever happens, whatever comes through, you're going to know about it and you're going to deal with it fast. So that is a reason to make sure that you're checking your account often. Any questions? Any questions? Any comments? And if anyone has any fraudulent situations that they would like to share, you know, that they feel comfortable sharing, please take yourself off mute and tell us about any fraudulent situations that you may have had concerning your bank account. Anyone can share anything. Maybe you had something going on with your debit card or... Okay. All right.
I will.
Go ahead.
Amazon is one of those that you really have to watch. I've had twice that people have used for some reason, have gotten my debit card, and it was transactions on there for ebooks and stuff like that. And my mom has had that to happen to her as well, coming through Amazon. And she doesn't even order through Amazon. So it's just people getting your account. You know, they, like you say, these people out here fraud, they do that for a living. And that's why you have to keep track of your account and then dispute a transaction that you know you didn't make.
Yes.
So that because the bank will reimburse you, but you know you have to go through the hoops, which, you know, surprisingly, you know, some of them don't take that long to get your money back. But yeah, that's why it's good to have your accounts flagged for transactions anytime a transaction is made, or you can do it weekly or however you want, so you can look at your account.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And Teresa, if I can just interject with that, don't let a small amount deter you from trying to find out why it's there. If someone can take $10, $20 out of your account every month, that adds up. So, you know, don't let the amount just keep you, you know, from not trying to determine what caused it, why it's there, so they won't continue or eventually get larger.
Yes, those are all wonderful points. And to add to that, I have, in my experience, the people that call into the bank the most have a couple thousands in their account. And what they do is they call in and they will say, what's this letter about this $3 fee? They may have $100,000 in their account, but they will call in and they'll say, what's this new $3 fee that y'all are starting? They are accounting for every single penny that comes in and out of their account. And it doesn't matter how small the fee is, they're going to ask about it, and they're gonna find out about it. They don't want it.
Exactly.
And so they're gonna do what they need to do in order to avoid fees, no matter how small it is.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why it's very important to look at the letters that the financial center sends to you, because like Yvonne was saying, some of them may talk about upgrades, new fees that are starting, and you want to be on top of that.
Yeah.
because we want to avoid fees at all costs.
And Miss Teresa, if I can chime in for a second, I know another thing too that I found myself being guilty of was subscription fees. So, like, if you, let's say, did a free trial or something, and it happened to me with LinkedIn, and I forgot to turn it off. Looking at my bank account and realizing it was like $40 missing was another way to kind of make sure that you're monitoring the subscriptions that you have to different things as well. And I don't, well, this probably wouldn't be really banking related, probably more just in broad spectrum. But like my credit got hacked last week. And so there was a whole credit card opened up. So just kind of, you know, I just encourage people to go and do your freeze on your credit with the 3 bureaus to do the freeze on your report. So anything will flag there too.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful point.
And to piggyback on what Tiffany just said, I was going to bring that up, that people, when you go out there, not necessarily subscription, but you see something online, be real mindful when you put that debit card number in. Because a lot as you take it, once you put that debit card number in and you didn't read the fine writing and it was $1.99 for whatever because you thought you was going to win something,
Exactly.
and then they're charging you for all these other different things, at that point, technically it's not fraud. So be sure to know where you put your debit card number in at, because that can happen quick and in a hurry.
You know, Yvonne, that happened with me. I saw something that came on my email, which was supposedly came from my insurance company. And they had a gift that they were going to give those individuals that was a part of the insurance company. And the only thing you have to do, I think, pay like $5 to get this gift that I really wanted. As I was putting my number in, and before I hit send, I said, let me call my insurance company to see what this is all about. I called the insurance company and said, we have nothing to do with that. So, you know, it's just amazing how often they do these things and how easy they can do it, just trap people.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are awesome examples. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And me and Yvonne was talking about this earlier about with your debit card, giving your debit card to somebody to maybe use. You want to be careful with that. And I don't know how many people do that and who you give your debit card to, but if you do that and then you find out maybe that the person used it for something that you didn't authorize, it's really not considered fraud because you did give them your debit card. Even though, you know, you told them to use it for this and they use it for that, you still gave them your card. So you want to be kind of mindful about giving people your debit card to use. But these are all really good points.
Oh, yeah.
I do see something in the chat here. Do you all recommend using PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Pay for online transactions to prevent from entering cards directly? I would say, I mean, for anything and everything, there's some level of where you could be exposed to fraud because you have to put your banking information somewhere. And so when you have to do that, there's a level of fraud that, you know, you could be exposed to. Now, I know I don't know how many people use, I believe it's Zelle. With Zelle, if you send someone money and it's not the right person, you typically won't get your money back. You won't. So you have to be careful about some of these you know, different ways that we're using our information. Definitely call your financial institution or look at, you know, your information to see, you know, what would be considered fraud or, you know, what you could possibly dispute. But in my experience with Zelle, once your money is gone, it's like gone. So just kind of be careful with that. Any other questions?
Can I also add with the fraud to be careful with those emails and those texts that you get saying that your bank card has been locked and you need to click on that link. I received one, and like the gentleman, I didn't click on it. I called my bank to see what was going on with my card, and they had no idea what I was talking about, and they had me to screenshot and send them the copy of that text so they could investigate it.
Yes.
So you get those things saying your card has been locked and that kind of stuff, don't click on it. Contact your bank to see if something is actually going on with your card, because that was definitely fraud, she told me. And she told me it was a good thing I did not click on it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Wow,
Yes,
that's great.
that's great advice.
Great advice.
Don't click on the links. I know some of the emails that they send, they look just like it's the banks or the credit unions. It'll have the logo and
Yeah,
everything.
and the texts as well. They're getting real good about doing the text.
Yes. But we just have to be vigilant and just make sure that we're not clicking on anything, and that we're definitely contacting our financial institution to find out more information. So with everything that I've said, and just to sum it up, try to be proactive when it comes to handling your bank account. And the way to do that is all of the previous things, that we talked about. Looking at your rate and fee schedule is very important, because you want to know what will cause fees so you can avoid it. You want to set measures in place that will help you know what's in your bank account. Set up alerts, set up notifications. You want to make sure you're checking your account consistently, whether it's daily, every other day. It doesn't matter if you're making a lot of transactions or not. Check the account, because that's going to allow you to catch anything that goes wrong with your account. And things go wrong. They really do. So you want to make sure that you're checking things as soon as possible so you can jump on it and deal with it. So always be in a proactive state and not a reactive state when it comes to dealing with your bank account. And that is all the information that we have. Are there any other questions or comments? Good discussion.
Well, just want
Very good.
Yeah, just want to say this was, so informative. You guys have just done a great job. As we always say, everything we need is in the house. Great job, guys. So proud of y'all. Keep up the great work. And whoever have my name for their POD, I think it is, make sure you let me know so I can be prepared, so I can get all that money I'm supposed to be getting. Great job.
All right.
Yes, excellent. Just to echo what Apostle said, that excellent job. Everybody putting it in the chat. Very informative. A lot of information. And I know for us really as a people, I've seen it so many times. We are very reactive, especially after a fee. And that's when everybody wants to make a fuss and say, what am I being charged for? So we've got to learn to start reading things before we sign up for it. Being proactive.
Exactly right.
Making sure we know what our rate fees is. That's one of my biggest takeaway from this, is to make sure that we're reading and we're being proactive in our selections and our choices. So excellent job, ladies. Y'all did a great job, and it's time for our giveaway. Woo. So let's get ready for the giveaway. Who's excited for a giveaway? So we're going to start with Ms. Yvonne first, and she's going to have some questions for you. And how are we going to do this? We're going to the answer in the chat. Whoever comes, I'm going to be monitoring the chat to see who answers the question first, and that's who will receive the prize or the giveaway that Miss Yvonne will have. So, Miss Yvonne, you're up.
Okay. This has been an amazing class. I hope that we said something that was informative. However, it's time for the real fun stuff. We have a giveaway for you. So the first person that puts the answer in the chat will receive the prize. Name one thing we mentioned that you should do before opening your bank account. One thing that you should do before opening a bank account. The first person put in the chat. I see an answer.
All right. It looks like it's
Okay.
who is it?
I think I see Tiffany says check
That's
the
on
fee
Tiffany
schedule.
first.
Check the fee schedule. It was Tiffany.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Congratulations,
So Tiffany,
Congratulations,
it's not
Tiffany.
hard to get to you. I know where you at. We have this gift box, and what it is
He
a
wasn't
butter
first.
love and bath bar bundle. So if you will be at the Word tomorrow, I will bring your gift. Thank
So
you.
hold it for me for next Sunday, because I'm not gonna be at the Word tomorrow. I'm gonna be out of town again.
All right, let's go to the next person, y'all.
No, I want my soap.
Okay, Tim, I will hold it for you till next Sunday.
Okay, but I see you first, lady.
All right. And
Congratulations.
we're gonna add Yvonne's link to her website where she sells all of her products in the chat. So you guys can look at that. So I have a giveaway too. I have a combo here. So I created some books here that are being sold on Amazon. They're journals, and one of them is an estate planning journal. It is a simple journal for you to add in your insurance information, your bank account information, all of the details that will help your family know where everything's at when you're no longer with us, or if you were not able to handle your affairs. So it's really simple to fill out, very easy to understand. So I have this journal and I have this debt payoff tracker where you can, if you have debt, you can, this is also easy to understand. You can just fill in the information and track the debt that you're paying off. And it also has a savings tracker where you can track the money that you're saving from this. So I want to give one person both of these books. All of my journals are being sold on Amazon. So we're going to put the link for that also in the chat. But my question is, name one thing we mentioned you can do to minimize fraud. Go ahead and put your answer in the chat. The first person is going to get the journals. One thing that you can do to minimize fraud.
Okay. We have a response.
All right. Who do we have?
Now,
iPhone 2.
Okay.
Daily checks.
Valerie Madison. Yes.
Yes, there was Valerie Madison check accounts daily.
All right. Awesome. That is correct. Check your accounts as often as you can. Daily is ideal. Daily is ideal. So I know where you're at, Valerie, so I'll make sure you get your books, your journals. And that is basically...
Oh, hey, one thing, ladies and gentlemen, I was so busy showing y'all the gift, I forgot to tell y'all what I do. All right, so what Nezzy does. I am
It's
Yvonne, the founder and owner of Naturals by Nezzy, made with love, where these handshakes work. Make those extraordinary hair care and skincare products. And what I do, I just got a little example for y'all. We make whipped shea butter, soaps, and all that other kind of stuff. So listen, that's who I am and what I do. So I didn't want to just give this stuff away without y'all knowing who I am and what I do. So Naturals by Nezzy, made with love, where these hands be working. Make those extraordinary hair care and skincare products. That's who I am. All right.
All right.
Awesome.
And Miss Siobhan, thank you for mentioning the shea butter because I need to order some to go with my soap. I'm excited.
Girl, that's in the box.
Oh, come on,
It's a combo.
come on, man.
All right.
In the box.
All right. We're going to turn it back over to Miss Sybil.
Okay, well, again, a great big thank you to both of these ladies, Miss Yvonne Middleton and Miss Theresa McDuffie. We had some great information on banking. We should be able to use a lot of this information to make sure we're not giving the banks back any more money. I know that's what I'm going to do, and making sure that we're setting up and we're planning for the future. It's going to come, and we're going to have to make sure that we want to make the decision how and where our money goes. I know I want to do that. So thank you, ladies, for such an awesome set of information, and for just the way you delivered it and for the interaction. And thank you so much for those of you that took the time to come and share with us. Please stay connected with us here at the Legacy Program. You can follow us, and if you have any additional questions, you can follow up with us with using the email program227@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook, and you can follow us on YouTube as well. Thank you so much again. We appreciate you spending time with us. And we also have service tomorrow at The Word, Abiding Word 227 Abiding Way. If you're not a part of our ministry, and if you would like to visit, please feel free to come on out. Thank you so very much, and have a great day, everybody, and enjoy. And I will see you guys in the church tomorrow at The Word.
Woof, woof. Great job, guys.
Okay.
Yes, great job.
Excellent job.
Yeah.
Have a great Saturday, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
All right.